everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night SQL Virtual Chapter webinar. My name is Sarah Huang. I'm the organizer of this virtual chapter. Joining me here is Debbie Huang. She's the co-organizer of our VC. Tonight, Jian Zhang will present SQL Server CDC from zero to hero. After his presentation, there's an open forum discussion. You may ask questions related to data or data tools. This session will be recorded and we will post it on YouTube. Let me first go through the past deck. Give me a second. Let me start from the beginning. In January, there will be a training opportunity. It's called Business Analytics Day. If you are interested, please visit http://passbaday.com. And Pass eStore is still open, so you can still order some items from there. In terms of our future chapter meetings, we have one in December. It's called Indexing Fundamentals by Kathy Kallenberger. As many of you may know, she's the co-organizer of Women in Technology virtual chapter. Another one is called Why Your Data Type Choices Matter by Andy Yun. This is the topic he presented at the recent PASS Summit 2016. Well, if you are not PASS member, we would like you to join PASS, then associate with our virtual chapter. Our virtual chapter website is SaturdayNightSQL.SQLpass.org. Once you join our virtual chapter, you will get meeting notice delivered to your email box, and also will after each presentation, if there's any slides or code shared by the speakers, we will also send those to your email box. And the topics, if there are any topics you would like to hear or discuss, or even if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email us. SaturdayNightSQL@SQLpass.org is our email account. Also, we need speakers. We're looking for speakers. You may choose to do either 1 hour session or 15 minutes lightning talk. As far as I know, there are many consulting companies. If you would like to be a consultant, there are many consulting companies who only hire those who are presenters who present at those events such as virtual chapters of SQL Pass or PASS Summit, things like that, or SQL Saturdays. These are the selected virtual chapter meetings. You're welcome to check them out. And as many of you may know already, PASS has many virtual chapters. You may either join one or choose to join as many as you would like. As far as I know, I joined. I had quite a few good sessions from DBA fundamentals, and also Women in IT also has very good articles posted. These are the upcoming SQL Saturdays, and as you may know, these are like mini sessions of past summit, if you will. In terms of volunteering opportunities, you can check it out by visiting volunteer.sqlpass.org. And please stay involved by joining PASS with their completely free membership. Once you join, please join our virtual chapter. During the session, if you have questions, you may either raise your hand by click this little hand button. One of us will unmute you. Another way to ask question would be type your question in the chat window, and I will read them out to the speaker. All right. About our speaker, Chen Zhang, he's a very experienced DBA who has over 15 years of experience. He's also the co-organizer of Past Chinese. We appreciate him taking the time to share his knowledge with us tonight. Give me a few minutes. Let me see if I can find him. All right, for some reason he dropped out. Give me a few minutes. Let me reach out to him and see what's going on. Hey. All right. Jen is here. You may start. Thank you so much, Jen. We cannot hear you. Jen, you are muted. Please unmute yourselves because we can't hear. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So everyone can hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So before we started this session, and can we do a quick survey? So how many of us are DBA? How many are database developer? Can we do a quick survey?
Sure. Maybe let's do this. For those of you who are DBA, can you raise your hand, please, so that I can do a count? Then after that, we'll have developers raise their hands. Yeah. If you're a DBA, please raise your hand, please. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far we have 5.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna put down your hand and then, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, for those of you who are developers, please raise your hand then. Or we can do a quick math. I think we have maybe like, okay, give me a sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there are about 19.
I see. Okay. Yeah, good. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, let's start it. So this is a CDC session. That's the reason that we want to get this information is that we will adjust our content because I plan to use 1 hour to speak about the CDC. After that, I will take 30 minutes for Q&A. Really, I cannot finish. I cannot cover both for developer and for DBA within 1 hour. So that's why I need this survey. My name is Zen, and I'm living in Maryland, and I'm a database consultant. I consult to several of this is my clients here, and also I'm very actively involved PATH, and I go to PATH every year, and also I go whenever I can. I will attend the local or nearby SQL Saturday. For example, this coming December the 3rd, it will be our Washington D.C. SQL Saturday, and today we will cover that what is the CDC. The CDC is for change data capture, and there is a CDC is not a brand name, so that it is a pattern. So every vendor have their own implementation. We will focus on SQL Server CDC, and we'll talk about the CDC lifecycle and how to create it, and we'll focus on how to create it, and in the middle how to maintain that. And because most of us are developers, so I will focus on developers. And I will mention about something about the DBA need to know. Okay. Here, as I said, so Sarah, one thing that I need to ask you to do me a favor is that when I time to do the demo, I need to switch to another computer. At that time, I need to quit my current computer and join to another one. Use the same link, and I will give you a heads up when I'm ready to switch. After
Sure.
My demo is done, I will switch back. Is that okay? Okay.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So CDC is a not a trademark. It's a software patent. So what mean patent is that there is a special purpose to why we need the CDC. I found that the most accurate definition is from the wiki, and here's the wiki. You don't need to write it down. If you Google or Bing CDC wiki, you will find this article. So basically, CDC is designed to collect the change data from the data source. Mostly, it is OLTP and into a data warehouse. So that's a pattern, and there are several CDC solution providers on the market. IBM have a InfoSphere, and Oracle have a Golden Gate. This is very popular. And also another company called Attunity. Attunity also have a CDC solution. On SQL Server 2012, Microsoft purchased the patent and the source code of a CDC component from Attunity. So SQL Server 2012 in the SSS package, you can find there are two CDC components that you can use. We don't have time to cover how to use those components. However, the knowledge that we'll discuss tonight will help you to understand all the options, all the settings of the components. I highly recommend it that you after this presentation, you go ahead and familiar with yourself the CDC, and then you start to design a demo package using the components. That's how you learn the CDC. All the basic concepts we covered tonight, you will find a matching section in the interface. Okay. So on the right, this is the diagram from the TechNet. This is everyone. I found that everyone talk about CDC need to put this diagrams. This diagram is the important thing of this diagram. It will tell you that from the top, which is a OLTP, that is a source of the data, and in the bottom it is the end, the destination of the data. In the middle is how the CDC works. So in the middle, you want to focus on, you want to know that there is a log. What does the log mean? Is that this is SQL Server log. So the CDC will collect all the data from the SQL Server log. That is very important to remember. That is that what it tells us is that number one is that where to find the data, not from the table itself, that is from the log. In my script, I'm going to demo. There is a bunch of queries that let you to see that internally what happened inside the log, and I will mention that briefly. And that's the way how the log reader collects the data. So you might want to, for some of them of us familiar with the SQL Server, you might have a question that, wait a minute, is the log reader? I heard there is a log reader from the replication. There is a log reader agent, right? It is the same log reader. So in other words, that if the CDC collector and the log replication, the SQL Server replication use the same log reader. Okay, that's the one thing. I will mention that again in the SQL CDC for administrator session again. So just keep in mind, that's why we put the log here. That's how we get the data. And also you focus on that there is a change table. Those tables is that this created internally. It's based on the source table. So the interesting thing is that those tables, if you check those tables, the table type, it is the user type. However, it is a system. It's treated as a system table. Okay. So in the bottom there is a change data capture query functions. Those query functions, those should be used when you design when you do a collecting design the CDC process. However, again, the best way to work with the CDC data is to use the components. That component is from the SQL Server SSS packages. The reason that before SQL Server 2008, the way when we collect we want to have collecting those change data. There are several ways to do that. Most popular way is that to use the trigger. And personally, I don't like trigger. The reason is that the trigger is that it is a synchronous process, which means that everything happened in trigger, it's part of the transaction. So if your trigger takes too long, your transaction will take too long. So that's if you want to, for example, you want to collect the data, you want to do transformation, and those transformation take time. Then your transaction will take time. CDC, one key point to remember is that CDC is a asynchronous steps, which means that it will not impact your current transactions. It is very important to remember this. Also, last month in Seattle, when I talked with a friend about the CDC, she asked a question about is that the SQL Server 2016, there is a feature called temporal table. Temporal table, is that going to replace the CDC? So you have to think about this way. So the number one is that temporal table is not designed to replace the CDC. They use different scenario. Temporal table deal with those tables that does not change frequently, and when the data change, you want to keep it, and you want to keep it for longer time for auditing purposes, right? And CDC is the scenario is that to targeting those tables that change frequently, and you want to collect those changes, and you want to transfer those changes to your data warehouse, and then remove and dump those change records. That's how that's the main scenario is different. Also, in some situations that you can use a temporary table to implement a similar process, just like CDC does. Why you need this? Because, for example, the Azure SQL, in Azure SQL, we do not have a CDC option. The CDC, the reason why is the number one is that the CDC need a MSDB database, and number two, CDC need a SQL agent. Those two are not available from Azure SQL. In that situation, you can use a temporal table, and it worth another presentation. But just keep in mind, in Azure SQL, there is no CDC. However, you can use temporal table to create your own flavor of CDC solution. Okay. So before we dive in, I need to talk about several important concepts. Those concepts is just put there for you to remember those. I'm not expecting that you understand those concepts. Just keep in mind while we are working along the process. Asking yourself which one matching the terms I just heard, why we design this way, right? So the first concept is a CDC instances. The CDC instances, literally, it is a slew of objects that created based on the salt table. So the naming convention is that the CDC instance always a use your schema and plus underscore plus the table name. For example, if my table is a DBO.table A, the DBO is my schema. Table A is my table name. So what is my CDC instance? My CDC instance will be DBO underscore table A. That is my CDC instance. When you read all the examples, when you read any articles, blogs talk about CDC, and also when you use a function to pass a parameter for the CDC instance, they will say CDC instance. You know where it is. And also, in order to support all the process of CDC, we need a bunch of objects. Objects means that all the tables and the functions. Those are CDC metadata. We'll cover most of them in this presentation. Okay, and then I will going to do the demo, and the demo, because most of us are developers, so we will focus on those knowledges that for developers, and I will during the demo, I'm going to cover the several bullets here, and you don't need to. I will repeat several times for those bullets, and you know why we want to do that, and when we need to be careful about that, about several points. So having said that, Sarah, can you do me a favor? Can you help me to switch to another computer? I'm going to quit it, and then another computer.
Wait a minute. So I think you joined with a different account. So on your other computer, you can just use the speaker link I sent you to join the session. I think you should be able to use both computers, and then we can switch screens like that.
Okay, let's give a try. Hold on 1 second. Let me try again.
If not, I can send you another link. Then you join with that link.
Let me try again. Let me try again. I think this. 1 second. Launch application. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to disconnect this one.
Oh, I'll switch. You don't have to disconnect. I can just switch it over to make your other one as the speaker.
Okay. So how can I share my screen now?
Let me switch. Make you speak. Okay. I think I switched.
Okay, great. Okay. That's great. Okay, is the voice okay? I heard the echoes.
Oh, your echo is because it comes from your other computer. If you can.
I muted. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's start it. And the first thing is that I want to show you that one thing that as a developer, when you have a task to use a CDC, the first thing is that you want to check that if you have a replication. If you have a replication, here's the thing you need to remember. If you already have a replication on your instance.
Oh, hi, Jen.
Yes.
Can you make the screen a little bit larger? If you can see your left corner,
okay.
the left side at the bottom, it says 100%. If you change that to like maybe 150 or 200, then that will make the screen, at least those code, bigger.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. It's on your left side, at the bottom.
Oh, here. Okay, okay. Is that better?
Yes, yes. Cool. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's start it. So the first thing is that you need to check if you have a replication. It is very important to remember this. If you have a replication, and you will not, the CDC including 2 SQL Server jobs. The first job is collect. The second job is clean up. The collect job, if you have a replication, your collect job will not be created. If you try to explicitly create a CDC collect job, you will be failed. Because why? Because you will use the log reader that the replication used. And also, same thing, when you have a instance that do not have a replication, when you create a CDC, you create a CDC first, and then later, when you want to set up a replication, the replication, the log reader for replication will replace your existing CDC collector job. Okay, just keep in mind. So always remember this: replication win, replication agent win. So whenever you have a replication job, the replication job wins. Okay. So first thing is that you want to check if there is a replication, and also you want to see that if there is any CDC job here. So in my case, that I don't have any CDC job here. Okay. And also you want to do this check to see that if you have any database have a CDC enabled. This is from the SIS databases. Okay, so there's no such table, such database have a CDC enabled. Okay, the first thing is that I need to create a sample of CDC. Okay, so let's create it. All right. So I have a CDC created. And another thing I want you to remember is that when you created the database, the good practice is that to assign this database, the owner, to SA. The reason is that mostly when you need to do a necessary change, the person who do that change is DBA. So DBA, is the SA. So if here is the content I put here. So the reason that whoever want to create a CDC must have a sysadmin, must be a DB owner of that database. If you create a database and later somebody else want to create a CDC, to configure the CDC, and he's not a DB owner, he will get error like this. This is the error he will get. So the solution is that either make this guy a DBA, or make this the database make this person as a DB owner. Okay. So now, as you can see, this is my ID. I want to change that to SA. Okay. Another thing I want you to remember is that as a best practice, I hate to say best practice because I don't want to make me sound that others are worst case. But this is just, let's call this a common practice. The common practice is to put every CDC-related tables and the functions into a separate group. And the reason why is that we want to separate the traffic. For example, the CDC is very active, so we always want to put all our CDC objects into a fast drive. So highly recommended that you create a separate file group, and the file group will sit it on a read 1 or read 0. If you have an SSD, great, put there. That will separate the disk I/O. So here I'm going to create another file group called CDC FG, and this is FG is empty. I'm going to add one file here. Okay. Another thing I want to mention is that the CDC, when you create a CDC objects, when you enable them, there are several objects will be created. However, at that time, there's no way to specify which file group you will create it. So it's always created on the default group. Remember we said we want to put everything into a CDC related. So how we do that? So before we enable the CDC, we want to make our CDC group as a default. And then after we enable the CDC, there you will see, I'm going to show you that several tables will be created on that file group. And then we switch back to the default file group. In order to do the demo, I'm going to now let's create a several tables here. Sorry about that. I created a master table. Okay, and I'm going to do 1, do 2. Great. So I have 3 records, right? Now, that's what I'm talking about. Before I enable the database, as a CDC enable the database, I need to make my CDC group, file group as a default. Otherwise, all my several tables, CDC tables, will be created on the default file group, which in my case is primary. We don't want that to happen. So first, I want to make it a default file group here, and then I will enable the CDC for this database called CDC, SQL CDC. Now, let's see what is the objects created here. As you can see, those are metadata. Those data are the type U, they are user table, right? So they all created on the CDC _FG. Okay. And now I need to my current default group. My database, my database have a CDC enabled, right? And I also want to check if I have any table, if I have any job created. The answer is no. So another point to remember is that when you enable your CDC on the database level, the job will not created. The job only created when you first enable the CDC on table level. Let's continue to see it. First of all, I want to make sure which one is the default. This is the default. Now I want to switch back, right? I want to switch back to primary. All right. So there are several ways. There are several ways to create a remember the CDC need a SQL Server job. So there are two jobs. One is capture job, collect all the CDC data. Another one is cleanup job, right? Again, this capture job, when capture job met the log reader replication job, the replication always wins. It always replaces this one. Okay, so there are several ways to create the job. One is that create implicitly when you enable a table of CDC. That's one way to do that. Another way is that I recommend this way is that we explicitly call this function to create a job. Why we want to do that? Because that gives you a chance to specify those parameters. What those parameters mean? Those parameters will directly impact your CDC performance. Later, we will mention there is a white paper talk about tuning CDC, and this is a very important white paper. The SQL CAT team did a good job. They did a very good testing, and they listed those a best combination of those parameters, so that you have a best performance. However, in your environment, you have to base on this white paper and do the testing yourself. So this is a job I'm going to add. So this max chance means that within one scan, how many transactions I will collect it. In this case, and this is so for every run, how many scans I need to run. In this case, every time it started, it will run 10 times. Each time it will collect about 4,900 transactions, and this is that the seconds in between each scan, okay, and whether or not I'm going to run this continuously. One means yes. So I'll create this job. Yeah, I want to spend time to read this. If there was a replication configured, you will get this error. Basically, this error told you that I already configured the capture job. You don't need to configure the extra job. You need to use my capture job. Okay. In this case, do not create capture job. Use a log reader agent. As I said, there are another type of CDC job, which is cleanup. Again, the common practice is to explicitly create this job instead of create implicitly. The same reason you want to pass those parameters. This retention means that it's by minutes. Means that those CDC data, how long should I keep it? Okay? And we'll run this. Okay. Another recommended practice is that when you create a CDC, it's recommended that you create a role. You create a role for all the CDC. Especially for a company that very serious about the security or the access, create a role will save you a lot of time. So because for example later, if you in the dev environment, if you want a developer to access those CDC objects, right? You can simply add this developer's ID into logging into this role instead of create a whole whole bunch of script to assign this developer to access those tables. Because remember this, if you want to access the CDC table, the same person need to access the base table, the source table as well. So it will be a hassle for DBA to manage those. The best way is that to create a role. Okay. Again, one of the benefits to go through a presentation instead of reading the help file is that the help file will not cover those common practices. They will they will show you all the default settings. Like most of the Microsoft product, the default setting will work. However, the default setting will not work on production environment. So that's one thing to remember. For example, this one, always create a role. So, for example, if you later you want to create a user, you can just add this user to this role. Like I said, I created one that that's not okay. I haven't created this user yet. So just suppose if I have created a user, I can add this to this CDC gating role. Okay. The second is that what I do is that I will add every table that I want to have a CDC turn on to this role. So that again, it is a normal, it's a common practice. Now, all you can do is that now, remember when minutes ago we enable the CDC on the database level, right? After that, we didn't create any jobs, right? Later, we create two jobs. One is a capture job, one is a cleanup job explicitly, right? We don't need to create them explicitly. The reason we want to do that is that because we want to pass a correct parameters. If you don't create any jobs, and if you enable the first table as a CDC table, enable for the first time you enable a table, then those two jobs will be created if you don't create it explicitly. Okay. Again, we recommend that we create them explicitly. So now I'm going to create enable the CDC on my first table, which is the table name is table_A, right? So here several things I need to remind you. Highly recommend that you pass the role name here. Okay, the role name is the role we just passed it, so that will guarantee that all this role will have access to both the source table and the CDC table. All right, and also this is when you do that, highly recommend that you pass the file group name. The group is that again, the reason is that we want to separate the disk I/O. This is very, very important parameter that will impact your performance. Why? Because the support net changes means that what is the net changes? Give you an example. Say I have I'm living in Maryland, right? In the last 20 years, I moved several I moved into several counties, right? I moved 5 times, right? So when you have a net, when you do support net changes equal to 1, which means that I don't care in the middle how many counties you move. I just want to know the end. In the end, the 5th time you change, that's 1. That means that is support net changes equal to 1. Highly recommend that you do not put this equal to 1 to set it to support net changes. highly recommend you put the value to 0. The reason why is that when you put this to 1, there is extra non-cluster index created on the CDC table, right? Those CDC table, most of the CDC happen on the CDC table in normal situation is inserting. So you add a extra work when you do the inserting because you have to maintain this added non-cluster index. The design, one of the design practice is that always do those. You know, you don't need to get the net changes when you do extract the data. You want to find the net changes after you move those data into a data source, a data warehouse, and then from there you can do all the aggregations, all the processes. So the idea is that do not let the transfer, you do not spend time when you collecting the data, right? You always do that after. And another thing that I remember I just want to tell you is that there is a pattern when you do the people see ETL, right? So ETL is that extract, transformation, and loading, right? So when you deal with the CDC, do not do ETL, do ELT. Means that you put the transformation in the last step, and you put the transformation happened on the data warehouse side, not on your OLTP side, right? So you do extract, you do loading, everything you load it into your data warehouse, and then there you do transformation. Do not do ETL, do ELT. Okay. Now, after okay, so now after I turn on the first table, I turn on the CDC. So let's see. I have what is my query? This will show you that which file group has which objects, right? So as we can see that this table is on primary, right? And another table called this one. This is gosh, I don't need to dive so deeply, but this one, this DDL history will record every schema changes you made to that table. Okay, so one thing to remember is that when you change the base table schema, the CDC may or may not be impacted. So it depends. We don't have time to cover this in detail. However, in this script, I have a whole steps and whole comments that I'm going to share with you. And if you have any questions, you can ask me later. Now, let's see if we have table. Okay, so we have if we have jobs for CDC, so we have two jobs. One is capture job, one is cleanup job. Okay, so this capture job, you see this category, it's a replication log reader, exactly the same as our replication agent. So just keep that in mind. So we have two jobs. And let's check. We have 3 records of this base table, right? And also we have this part is our CDC instance. It's DBO underscore table A. So it's a schema underscore table name, and underscore CT is a naming convention of the CDC change table. CT means change table. So do we have any record? No. Why? Because what happened? Table A underscore CT. Did I enable them? Okay. Let me insert one row. Okay. So I'm going to skip that one. The next one is that show you what happened inside this transaction log. I'm going to skip it. Okay. And after I insert it, and the most important thing when you configure the CDC is that when you do that, all you done, the most common errors is that when you enable them, you wait there and you were expecting to see the CDC data populated, right? However, you have to do the last two things. You have to start them. If you don't start them, the capture job will not run. If the capture job cannot run, you will not get the CDC data. Okay. So it's almost time. So I need to stop here. However, I have a whole bunch of all the labs you can follow. I put all the documents, all the comments there. That will help you. You go through those scripts. That will help you to understand internally the CDC, how the CDC works. I discussed in detail about what happened when the schema changes, how you deal with that. The reason why that one cell table can have up to 2 CDC instances is to deal with the schema changes. Just remember that. There is a reason why we only allow up to 2 CDC instances. The reason is that it is to deal with the schema changes. In my script, in all the scripts, it will detail the reason why and how you deal with the schema changes, right? Okay. Yeah. So there's a bunch of contents there. We don't have time to cover today, but if you have any questions, please let me know. Now, I need to switch to my another computer. So, Sarah, can you help me to switch to my another computer?
Sure. Give me a second. Let me transfer.
So this is part of a CDC for developers. I know there is some DBA here, so I want to mention a few things that as a DBA, how we need to do to solve this. The first thing is that we need to have a solution to deal with the schema changes. Okay, even though the schema change is very expensive in any company, however, sometimes we had to deal with the schema change. The best way to do that is you script all the script and put a parameter there. So when you need to do the schema change, you know how to do that. And also another thing you need to consider is the disk space consideration. The CDC will add more space. You will require more space. It depends on how active your data was. If you have a very active data and your retention time is longer, like by default 72 hours. Most time I would recommend to do that 24 hours, and because of you don't want to take don't want the CDC to take much of your data your disk. However, there you have to consider that if you want to be frequent to clean up those CDC data, you have to think about how you're going to react to the error. So error happens, right? So when the error happens, if you take the cleanup on you put the retention only for 24 hours. What that means is that you need to solve this issue. Whether you are on call DBA or somebody on call, with the team need to solve this error within 24 hours. Because after 24 hours, those CDC data will be cleaned up. So you might want to think about how you're going to deal with situation, right? The common practice is that when you get alerts, right, the first thing you do, what do? You disable the cleanup job, right? And then you do all the changes. You do troubleshooting. After you're done, you make sure that there is no gap. In my script, I discussed the gap. So the gap means that the gap between the LSN, the log sequential number. You make sure you don't have a gap, and then everything works. You enable the cleanup job. That's normal practice, right? And again, another thing that always you facing as a DBA you're going to face is the tuning. There's no better web paper than this one. You go the Bitly CDC tuning. This is a web paper created by the SQL CAT team. Very good articles. Even those web paper is written for SQL Server 2008, it's still valid in SQL Server 12, 14, and 16. So highly recommended. That one, in this paper, they will talk about all. Remember, we cover the two jobs, right? Capture job, cleanup job. Each of them is you need to pass the parameter. This web paper will discuss, put a lot of time to discuss what is the combination of the parameters, give you a better results. Again, in your environment, you have to do the testing and find your own sweet spot, right? Here, that's one thing. Another thing, the third thing is that in nowadays, most critical databases are always on. Remember this, the CDC rely on SQL Server jobs. The SQL Server jobs is from the MSDB. The MSDB is not a part of, mostly it's not part of the always on group, right? So what you do, when you create a CDC in the active instance, the primary instance, the job will not automatically created in the second replica. You had to manually create a second replica. How you deal with the situation? You don't want the capture job run in two places, right? So the normal practice is that for not only for CDC, for any other job running on the second replica, there's always you put a logic that to find out if my current instance is a primary replica. If it's not primary replica, just return. So every job you need to put that script. And this script is very common, and it is if you go to the always on, find a related document, mostly you will find this example sample scripts there. Okay, so that's all I want to cover about the CDC. CDC is a SQL Server enterprise feature, which means that it's only available from enterprise version, developer version, trial version. It's not on standard version. Okay, and it's not complex, but you do need a time to understand all the concepts why they need to do that. The best way I recommend is that take these slides, read through, do the testing on the script. I'm going to share the script with you. After that, jump into a SSIS package, right? Use the CDC, the two CDC components, design a job, grab the data from the source and put it on the data warehouse. All go through all the components, click into the components GUI interface. All the concept we covered tonight, you will find matching to the GUI. That's the best way. After you go through those components, I can see that 80% of concept ideas, practices, already. Okay, so that's the best way to learn CDC. Again, this as the last slide, this is my Twitter, LinkedIn, and email. If you have questions about today's presentation, please send me email. I will try my best to return to you as soon as possible. So now I will open to Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, I will. We got quite a few questions. I'll read them out to you.
Hello? Sarah?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Wait a second. Cannot find Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? I can see whenever I talk, oh God. I guess you can't hear me. Sorry. Give me a second.
Hi, Zach. Can you hear? Can you hear us?
Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot find Sarah, so I cannot turn on the Q&A session.
Let me help you. This is Debbie.
I can find him. Or...
Hello, can you hear me? Zen?
I guess he can't hear any of us.
But I can hear him.
Yeah, we can hear him, but he couldn't hear us. I'm not sure why. Give me a second. Let me mute myself, and I'll call him.
Okay, hold on a second. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, you're back.
Hi.
So can you see the chat?
That's fine. I'm open the Q&A now. So if anyone have a question, I'm ready to answer. Okay. Is that what? Say again? Okay. So, all right. Okay. Okay. So, how about now? Is that better? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Dan, can you hear us? Okay. I'm not sure.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have questions. Maybe you can turn off one of them. Just a sec. Okay. Can you hear us? Dan? Dan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So the question we have here, the first one is that given that CDC is used to detecting changes in an OLTP system, if a dimension, for example, DIM product is designed to include data from two OLTP tables such as product category and product subcategory, how would you recommend loading the DEM product which has product category and product subcategory attributes to combine the changes from product category and product subcategory and then load the DEM product dimension?
Okay. So let me let me try another way to see. Your question was that you have two tables, that those two tables are related. The question is that how are you going to fetch the changes from the two related tables? Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess he's trying to say that you combine those two changes and then load the DIM product dimension. Yeah.
Right. So the
Yeah.
when the CDC process began, it always fetching table by table, right? So if there are two tables are related, right? So what happened is that on the CDC table, when you do the collection, there is a source table and the CDC table, right? The source table and the CDC table, they have a very similar. They have a similar a schema, and in the CDC table we have extra four or five columns that are used by CDC. However, all your existing schema will be copied into this change table. So whatever you have and then you have the relationship will not be created in between on the CDC table side, right? However, if you on the source code, on the source table, you have a relationship in between two tables, you can always use the same way to find out the relationship in the CDC table and do all your work there.
Cool. Fred, is that good enough for you? Okay, that question is from Fred. So the second one is change tracker versus CDC.
Okay. There is a different. This is the two different feature. The change tracker. Remember this. The change tracker is from the SQL Server engine. Okay, the change tracker is always a synchronous operations. The CDC is not from the SQL Server database engine. It is not. It's outside of the SQL Server database engine, and it always happened as a asynchronous mode. Which means that if you do the chain tracking delay, your transaction will be slow. And the CDC is different. CDC always do a synchronous, it's always synchronous operation. Why? Because the CDC will not touch the source table. The CDC will scan the SQL Server log to get all the changes. Right? It's a different thing. And also change tracking. And another thing that the chain tracking compares chain tracking and change the CDC is that the CDC want to know the purpose of CDC is that want to know what is the data changes. The chain tracking don't care about the data changes. The chain tracking they want to know who did that, when did that. That's the main purpose of chain tracking.
Cool. Another one is, can you make the text a bit? Oh, okay, never mind. The text. Okay. What's the primary purpose of CDC? Is it more of transferring the change to data warehouse or more on auditing compliance purpose?
It's not a auditing. CDC is not for auditing. Okay, change tracking is for auditing. CDC is for data warehouse applications. I'm not sure if I can give you this example. However, one of the client, it is a insurance industry, so they want to know the subscriber, how the subscriber's payment behavior changed in the last, let's say, last 6 months. Okay, so why they want to know this behavior? Because if they found that in the first 3 months, for example, this subscriber always pay in time, and in the last 2 months it pay either delayed or didn't pay. What that tell the insurance company means that this subscriber either have a change in her or his economy, financial situation, or she is shopping another alternative, right? So this will trigger their analysis, to send her another mail to encourage her, offer her a discount, to ask her to stay, right? So that's one of the way to use the CDC. Okay, so you want the key point is that you want to know the changes. Why? Because those changes will help the business to make a business decisions.
Another question from the same person is that, it's asking, he's asking, is it an enterprise edition feature? I guess you already answered that. Or you already talked to that. It's enterprise, right? Or a developer. And another thing is, how is CDC impacts the performance of availability group?
The one thing to remember is that when you when you consider which table to join the availability group, remember this: the availability group, all the tables are, if those databases are highly active, maybe the database not a good candidate to join the availability group. Okay, so this is I didn't see Microsoft seeing that, but in the last 4 years, people if you really deploy the availability group on your environment and your database, and for example, you're looking for some very bizarre design, you use your SQL Server database to collect those streaming data. For example, the user login or click on the website, those are very high volume streaming data, and those such a database are not recommended to use the SQL Server to collect the data, right? You can argue my statement. However, those such high active database is not recommended on always on. That's my opinion. Um, to speak of the performance hit, the Microsoft CAT did a thorough testing, and it is less than 5% of performance hit. You will have a performance hit, but when you do all the parameter adjust well, it's less than 5%.
Okay. So somebody also mentioned that you might want to check your CDC schema in your database for the CDC table. Remember, there was one portion that you couldn't run the code. Fred said he thinks the CDC table enable did not work.
Oh, it's not. The CDC is work. However, the CDC record, I didn't do any changes to the source table. That's why there is no such object created. If you go through the script, you insert one table and you go back and check the CDC, the CDC table will be there.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, another question I think similar to what you mentioned before is that CDC available on 2014 SQL Server Developer Edition? I think that's yes, right?
Yes, CDC CDC is from SQL Server 2008, and it is available for 2008 and later.
Okay.
The CDC is not available from Azure SQL. Yeah, so that's one thing to remember. Any if you're looking for Amazon, anything that the easy to remember is that if they don't have you don't have a MSDB, you don't have an agent, right? This is required by CDC. You don't have SQL.
Okay. This question is from Alex Mo. I'm gonna unmute you. Maybe you can go ahead and ask him.
Hey, thanks for the talk. It's great. I see that you are working for a lot of clients. I just wonder how your consulting life is like. Are you working on short contract or long-term contract or multiple contracts in the same time? Can you say something? Thanks.
Okay, sure. But this is not related. What do you think, Sarah? Should I answer here now, or should I talk offline?
If you prefer to talk offline, then yes. So Alex, maybe you can send him an email so that you can discuss this with Zen offline. Is it
Yes.
okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Oh yeah, we can
Okay.
talk offline. Yeah.
All right. Okay. What is the primary? Okay. Jeez. Is it possible? Okay. I think this question was asked before. It says, what's the primary purpose of CDC? You already answered that. Also, he asked, is it more of transferring the changes to, oh boy, this is repeated. Never mind. Hey, no, you already answered that. Yeah. Okay. Let me continue. Okay, so this was for Yachi. I have a question of a trace file in SQL Server log. I saw there are a lot of records that user logging but failed in .crc trace file. Is the database hacked? I think this lady was asking the question. I think I talked to you about that yesterday. You know, she was the one asked questions. I'm gonna unmute her so that maybe you can.
Sure.
Let me see. Okay. All right. I have unmute you so you can talk to Zen directly. Go ahead. Hey Yachi, are you there? Well, maybe then. Do you mind to answer the question because she already posted it here?
Yeah, sure. So you know, if you see the logging failure, it's not necessary. It depends. I mean, I always say that depends. It might be hacked, or maybe there is you know, for example, web application, right? So with a misconfigured login information, that web application will, you know, will through a lot of connection requests, you know, issue a SQL command there, and that also caused a lot of failure. So it depends. Not necessarily means that you be hacked.
Okay. Her system is on the cloud though, so I guess there's no CDC. So next one is it the best practice to use CDC to capture the data changes of a whole database, say 400 tables?
400 tables, and you know, just remember this: the CDC is not designed for that purposes. Okay, CDC is designed for you to collect those changes data and dump to a other data warehouse site to do analysis. It's not used for, you know, those things that sounds like it's auditing, and also one of the, you know, one of the things you need to remember is that when you turn on the CDC, you also have an opportunity to specify which column you want to collect those data. Highly recommended that you specify the column name. You do not want to you know, blindly. That's the default of Microsoft, right? Blindly, you know, collecting any changes on any column. If you have a 400 tables and you want to know the changes, CDC is not a good option. Do not use that. That's my opinion.
Cool. So one last question is that this person Peter wanted you to show it one more more time that the white paper you mentioned.
Okay. Okay. The deck will be distributed to all the audience here. Here, this is can you see my screen? This is
Yeah.
Okay.
bit.ly / CDC tuning.
Right.
Yeah, that's from the cat team, right? Microsoft cat team. Okay. All right. I guess many people ask about this. The slides and code will be shared, right? You're gonna share the slide and code with the rest of with you know, whoever registered for this meeting, and yeah, after this today, I guess tomorrow I will try to post the the slide. Well, post the recording on the YouTube, if that's okay with you then.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Yeah, I will spend a couple of minutes to put some comments on the script, and then I will send the script with this deck to Sarah, and Sarah will share with all the audience.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for a great presentation. That's a great content, and I guess many of us as developers and don't normally have access to this kind of knowledge here. So it's great to learn these. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I hope this useful to all of us.
Yeah, it's a great content. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge with us. Okay, we'll stop here, and I will send out the poster material as soon as possible on our website and also on YouTube.
All right. Okay, great. Bye, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending. Good night.
Bye. Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.